Sorry about that. Let's go ahead and get started. Before we begin this evening, I would like to remind everyone to please silence your cell phones. Council meetings are live streamed on the city's YouTube channel. I now call the April 15th, 2025 regular council meeting to order. All council members are present. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please read the consent minute approval titles.
Approving the minutes of April 1st, 2025 regular council meeting, April 1st, 2025 executive session meeting, April 8th, 2025 special council meeting, and April 8th, 2025 executive session.
Thank you. The chair would entertain a motion to approve the consent minute action agenda items just read. Moved by the vice mayor, seconded by Councilor Bond. Any abstentions? Please cast your vote. Oh, jeez. Please record the vote.
With all councilors voting aye, the motion passes.
Chair would entertain a motion to approve by minute action the April 15, 2025 bills and claims as audited by City Manager Napier.
So moved.
Moved by Councilor Pollack, seconded by Councilor Haskins. Any abstentions? Please cast your vote. Please record the vote.
With all councilors voting aye, the motion passes.
Now is the time that we invite anyone in the audience who wishes to speak with the council to come forward. The portion of this meeting is dedicated to the public to allow them time to discuss matters of public interest and to voice their concerns. We do ask that you state your name. Please direct all your comments to the mayor. No obscenities or personal threats will be tolerated. Council will not respond to any personnel matters. Those will all be referred to our city manager. Councilors may ask clarifying questions, but if they choose to respond to those matters, they will do so at the scheduled council response time following communications from persons present. Presentations are limited to 5 minutes and there are no extensions will be permitted. Please note that public hearings and ordinances have their own separate comment periods. Hello, Mrs. Ingebretson.
Hello, Lisa Ingebretson. It's a little bit different being on this side of the podium here. I want to talk a little bit about the wireless companies that's laying fiber. And so I have recently kind of unearthed something. And I know that the city has agreements with these companies. And the company in particular that I'm specifically talking about is Tilson in North Casper. Last week I did inspections on a house that we have under contract. So the company that I used to scope the sewer line had said, and the sewer line had been perforated by this company. And as we were standing in the alley looking at it, a block away, you could see them in the alley doing the same thing. So it was AAA sewer and drain. He said that this was the 12th house he has come across that they have done. The cost range is about $169, that's the cheapest, to $400 per homeowner. So what's happening is that they're waiting. They know that they have hit that sewer line. They know they've hit the sewer line, but they're waiting for people to have to go get a sewer camera inspection and go through the hassle of connecting with the city, then connecting with them to get their sewer line fixed. And so I don't know if there's some other language that maybe the city could have with them, because they know. They've got directional drillers, they've got equipment operators. These guys are professionals. They know when they've hit a sewer line. And so in my estimation, I think that you shouldn't have to go through all of that because this company did something. And so, I mean, you hear all over town everything else that they're doing, but I mean, this isn't landscaping. This is beyond landscaping. And so if he found, one guy found 12, I can't imagine if you were to get all the other companies together, how many sewer lines have been perforated by this one company. And so I just thought that maybe I would bring this to your attention, that maybe we need to have a conversation with Tilson about when they hit the sewer line, maybe they should report it to the city and they should immediately fix it instead of putting that due diligence onto the homeowner. Because this is an older neighborhood, it's a poorer neighborhood. These people, they shouldn't have to bear the burden of the cost of what this company is doing, and that's what it's happening. And so they're having to track everything down. So I just kind of want to let you guys know that you're probably familiar with, they're all over North Casper right now, so it's pretty bad.
So hold on 1 second, Lisa. So does anybody want any clarifying questions or anything to follow up that? Counselor?
So, thank you, Mayor. I didn't know where to go with it, but they hit one of mine, and luckily I already had contractors there and working on it. When we unearthed going into the alley, lo and behold, there it was. But I just walked down a block, grabbed a Tilson guy. He got the people down there, the bigwigs down there, plus visionary, and but because the repair was about $6,000.
Mhm.
So
Right. But my concern is that if a homeowner doesn't know, so if you're having issues, maybe they do not know where to go or what to do, they're not reporting it, and they're not just fixing it. They're waiting for somebody to bring it to their attention first. And that's where my issue lies, is that they know they've hit it, so they should fix them. And so when he had said that he came across 12 of them, just one guy in a short period of time, there's a significant issue. So, but, you know, and so if they're out of the neighborhood, my thought is like, if they're out of the neighborhood, how do you get them back to fix what they've done?
Mayor, if I could, I didn't know if calling the city for any kind of resolution. I think you raise a really good point. And on a closing, if the property is sold, then that delays, because I still haven't got final bill. I've asked for a copy of it, even though Gates Plumbing is doing several down in North Casper right now.
Mm-hmm.
But where do you go for resolution? Where does some of my neighbors go? I knew to just walk down the street and grab somebody, and that the kid was super nice, the
Right.
worker, and called the
I don't
right
think
people.
that everybody is that noticeable in a sewer line. It could look different to different people. So it could just be a minor backup. It could be a significant backup. You just have no clue.
So,
Lisa, I've got a couple other counselors that want to do some clarifying questions. Counselor Gamroth.
Thank you, Mayor. Thanks, Lisa. Good to see you again. Clarifying question for me. You brought up $169 to $400 cost. Is that for a sewer scope that you say the company is mandating as evidence before they'll even entertain a notion of reimbursing for repair? Was
That I don't know. So for a homeowner though, depending on the company you get. So the cheapest I have found is $169, which is AAA. And then it goes up to $400. So it depends on who you hire to do your camera scoping. And so I don't know to what degree that you're going to have to fight Tilson for to prove that that sewer line has been perforated. And so I had the report, and so I submitted that over to the sellers of the house so that they could start that fight. But because they have the actual proof of that. But I don't know if Tilson is waiting for somebody to get that. But I know that he had said that it has been a fight for everybody that he knows. So, and I just, feel like it shouldn't be, that burden shouldn't be on any citizen. It just flat out shouldn't. This company is doing this. These are professionals. They know they've hit the sewer line and they should fix it right away. And so to me, the first thing that when they hit the sewer line, they should report it to the city and then they should proceed to start fixing that sewer line. And the homeowner should never have to come out of pocket for a penny.
Thank you.
Counselor Bond.
So I talked to two older ladies who had facing one had sewer lines damaged, their driveway, had one. And so what that company told her was get an estimate, get work done. These are people. Anyway, that's basically it. Now, average staff who he has, I believe, a contract, but it's not. Heard of it. Take the damage. As far as I know, yeah. It was there. Out. Oh, pay for it.
And I don't know if that's what Tilson's is. I just kind of unearthed this whole thing and it was just like, are you kidding me? And then there were right the next block over and you could watch them and like, who knows? It was just like, oh, there they are punching more sewer lines, you know? And so I just kind of felt like that shouldn't be going on. It just flat out shouldn't be going on.
Counselor Jensen.
Thank you, Mayor. So what I'm kind of hearing too is the typical person, if you weren't selling a house or they weren't getting the sewer scoped for the process of selling a house, the typical person potentially wouldn't know that their sewer
Right.
has been punctured unless
Exactly.
after they install, just on their own, hire somebody to go do it. So they're penetrating the system, not letting anybody know that they're doing it instead of being forthcoming with the process. Yeah. All right, thanks.
So if you
Not
want to
right.
stick, oh, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
So just to respond to that, I already had things in motion. It's an old clay line. I'm sure you ran into the same thing. And so, which unless it's unearthed, you don't know if that clay happened to, just get disrupted for some reason. But so only unearthing, we knew we had a sewer problem, and because it backed up, got the line cleared, we thought, backed right back up again, because the dirt was falling in. And then, so that's why I had contractors there. And then once we got to that point out by the alley, it was clear as day. But you're right, and unless you knew all of those factors, which I didn't, and just thought, well, here we go. So
if you want to stick around too, we'll get to a point where I think some people will probably make some suggestions.
Okay.
Great. Thanks, Lisa. Good to see you. Anybody else? Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Ross Schriftman. Donald Trump is not the first president to address government waste and fraud. Here's a part of a statement made by one of our presidents in a video message. Quote, "But what should be easy to get rid of is the pointless waste and stupid spending that doesn't benefit anybody. Waste we should be getting rid of, even if we didn't have a deficit. We are off to a good start. Over the last 2 years, we've pulled the plug on all kinds of ridiculous practices. No amount of waste is acceptable, not when it is your money. Just as families are living within their means, government should too. Already we have identified $33 billion in savings. That was President Obama's message on January 13th, 2011. Then there was Bill Clinton, who famously said, "The era of big government is over." On March 3rd, 1993, before a joint session of Congress, he announced the creation of the National Performance Review and appointed Vice President Al Gore to address waste and fraud in the federal government. There have been champions for reform in Congress. Senator Tom Coburn of Oklahoma had his Waste Watcher program. An example of his work was one boondoggle for training mountain lions to walk on treadmills. I don't know if we've ever seen that here. Wisconsin Senator William Proxmire gave out the Golden Fleece Awards. Kentucky Senator Rand Paul has his annual Festivus Award, which details more than $1 trillion in wasteful spending, such as a $4.8 million State Department program for Ukrainian online influencers. And then there is Wyoming's own Alan Simpson, may he rest in peace. Through his legislative initiative, Simpson Bowles, which resulted in the establishment of the National Commission on Fiscal Responsibility and Reform. So back to our current federal executive's efforts. So far, $150 billion of waste and fraud has been identified and is being eliminated. Here are just 3 examples. 24,000 people over age 115 and 28,000 people between the ages of 1 and 5, as well as 10,000 people with birthdays more than 15 years in the future, were getting unemployment benefits totaling $382 million. $16 billion was paid to Medicare Advantage private insurance plans to entice seniors to purchase their plans for non-medical things like cable TV, cell phones, golf lessons, and pickleball rackets. Billions of Medicaid payments to people who are enrolled and are not eligible. Finally, as far as citizen committee groups, there's a long history going back to the town halls in New England. Besides the one I started here in Casper, there are organizations such as Citizens Against Wasteful Government Spending, the Council for Citizens Against Government Waste, Taxpayers for Common Sense, and the Committee for a Responsible Budget. I will continue to do my civic duty by pointing out areas in which there may be reductions in costs or improved revenue streams. I thank you, the council, and our wonderful staff for their cooperation and very helpful assistance. Thank you. Any questions?
Yeah, any questions for Mr. Schriftman?
Okay,
All right,
thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Anybody else who'd like to come forward? Good evening.
Good evening, Council, Mayor. My name is Laura Hunter, and I'm here on behalf of Art 321, the Old Yellowstone District, DDA, and DCBA. I serve as the Executive Director for Art 321, and I'm here to respectfully request that the Council support the open container allowance again this year. The open container allowance creates a lively, welcoming downtown atmosphere, encourages people to stay longer, explore more, and engage with local businesses, artists, and events. We have come up with a few things that we'd like to ask you guys to consider during your next work session, if possible. First, the boundaries. The current zone is fairly limited and disjointed. Many residents don't know exactly where they can or cannot walk with a drink. We would like to propose a modest expansion for the entire season and a special extension of the Art Walk during the Art Walk nights. I have a map here for both of those things. and some more paperwork for you guys. We are just wanting to include the Casper Rail Trail and nearby streets. That would help connect key cultural hubs like the Nick, the Science Zone, and the library during art walk nights. These places are often left out just simply because they're outside of walking zones. Second, the season dates. Right now, the open container season doesn't start early enough for the first art walk in May, and it doesn't include Fall Fest for David Street Station in September. Expanding this timeline to run these dates would make things more consistent for event organizers. And finally, who can participate? At the moment, only licensees permitted to sell alcohol for off-site consumption are permitted to serve to-go drinks within the boundaries. This excludes bars and restaurants, many which are right in the middle of that open container zone. We would like to request the council reevaluate this interpretation. In our opinion, this allowance doesn't constitute off-site consumption, but rather temporarily expands the zone of on-site consumption to include the outside area. If this interpretation is consistent with state law, this would allow all licensed establishments to be allowed to participate under the same safety and permitting rules that are currently in place. We think that this would make this program more equitable and support more of our small businesses downtown. We all want the Casper downtown to thrive, and we talk a lot about live, work, and play. And if we truly mean that, we need to make more space for the play. At our last OYD meeting, Captain Dabney shared that the open container issues over the last 2 years have been quite minimal and far fewer than expected. That speaks to how well our public has handled this and why we feel confident in proposing these updates. So thanks for your time. Happy to answer any questions.
Thanks, Laura. Any questions? So again, stick around. We might have some suggestions
Okay.
and requests to our city staff.
Okay. Can I leave this with you?
Yes, would you give that to our city
Yep.
manager would be great.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Anybody else? Yes, sir. Is there, we don't have a, no, you're good. Do we want to, we don't have a microphone? I know we used to. Are you sure? Well, we appreciate. Yeah. No, don't even worry. Take your time.
Yeah, alrighty. Is it gonna interfere with this one, or is this one good? We're gonna shot down.
No, you're good, man.
I wanted to be fancy, I guess.
Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Tamar DeLeon. I moved from California about a year ago. Looking for opportunities to start a public disabled business for prosthetics here in town. Sorry, I'm a little nervous. I'm 26. I've been building prosthetics for probably about 3 years. Started when I was 16, but formally been doing it for about 3 years. Moved here a year ago, and I was wondering how there would be, if there would be any type of private or set aside funding for starting up businesses, because I'm not trying to get into debt. I kind of put the rest of my college fund into this because I have cerebral. Sorry. Can you guys hear me without me using it?
Yeah.
So, okay, cool, because that kind of just boosted my voice, and I sounded like God for a second. But anyway, I have cerebral palsy. I have quadriplegic cerebral palsy. So I suffer from nerve damage, and so when I got let go from a retail store here in town, I wanted to start my own business because it's hard to get a job while disabled. And rather than begging for it, I just wanted to come straight for it. So I'm doing my LLC license. I have the paperwork for that. And I also have my paperwork for S-Corp bylaws under my business, DeLeon Devices. and I also have my footage on my YouTube and Instagram right now of what I do. But besides that, yeah, I just wanted to come to you guys today to hopefully get like a, I guess like a starting point to where I should go with funding. I do have a GoFundMe, but I would like to make it more like business oriented rather than peer-to-peer funding or, you know, private funding, because I want to be above board.
Yeah.
You know, I know how much debt I'm gonna probably be taking on. So that's why I switched from LLC to an S corp, because I could take on about, in this state, probably around 2 point, sorry. My mouth is dry and I'm nervous. I'm so sorry, man.
You're good.
But I could probably take around, with the S corp that I was looking at, 2.5 million in debt, but I'm not trying to even get that high. I'm trying to keep it in a relative ballpark of about $1 million a year. You know, I want to have a brick and mortar warehouse, so I don't want to do things digitally. I just want to be able to do it, you know, disabled person to other physical disabled person, you know, and there's a lot of people that need help. So if I could get involved, I would definitely love to. You know, so,
Will you tell me your first name again?
Tamar,
Tamar?
yeah,
Awesome. Well, we appreciate you coming out, Tamar. You did fantastic, by the way.
thank you.
You didn't even seem nervous at all. So what we can do is this kind of at this time when you come up and kind of present what you're wanting to talk about, we ask the council members, counselors to ask any clarifying questions they might have. And then there'll be a point at the end where some of us will maybe talk to our city staff about what we can do and if there's any things that we can recommend for you. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Any
Thank you.
questions for Tamar? Yeah, go ahead, Counselor.
First off, thanks for having the courage to come forward. We've got a few manufacturers currently of prosthetics. Have you sought, you know, employment opportunities with those folks, and get some feedback from them on possibilities?
I have Mr. Sweeney with one prosthetic manufacturer here in town through Precision Prosthetics, but unfortunately, you know, it's far away from my apartment. I live on 2nd Street downtown here, so I walked here, but you know, rolled here, but yeah, unfortunately, I was unable to meet up with the gentleman because of my lack of transportation. I don't have a disabled vehicle other than my power chair that I fixed myself also. So, I mean, I do what I can, but you know, I'm more than reachable on phone call or email. But you know, I try to do what I can. You know, I'm not trying to compete with anybody in town. I'm moreover trying to collaborate because, you know, 33% of Americans now are, you know, disabled or becoming disabled. So the real big point on why I'm doing this is because prosthetics are overly expensive. They're privately sorted, which means that if I don't get accepted for insurance, I don't have what I need. You know, and this is my reality, and with all respect, you know, you guys may be looking at it from the outside looking in, but that's why, you know, I'm here to kind of, you know, explain what's going on with me. So, yeah.
Did you have something else, Counselor Sweeney?
So I appreciate all of that. The city does have, through the lift, buses in particular. I can't remember the name of the program, but it's the lift. assist that I think is pretty reasonable to assist with those type of, go from point A to point B, but just as a suggestion, because it's very tough to, break through and as a new business. So sometimes those dreams come later.
Possibly, but that's why we're here to make, that's why, I'm putting myself at the forefront and not really at a chopping block, but more of soapbox to kind of, just bring it to more of a relative standard that we could all be comfortable with as constituents. So, absolutely.
Councilor Gamroth.
Sorry, I have comments.
Oh, comments, okay. Anybody else? All right, so tomorrow, if you stick around, if you want to go on back by the chief over there, we will go ahead and if anybody else doesn't come up, then we will kind of have conversation and some comment, okay? So if you want to stick around.
Okay, thank
Cool.
you.
Okay, anybody else want to come and address? Yeah, come on up, Omar.
See you all again.
Hey, how are you?
Good. My name is Omar Olivius Loya. I just want to thank the council on their swift action. I never thought you guys would do that much fast in 2 weeks. It's like, my friend was like, they already put a camera up. It's like, oh, okay, that's awesome. It's like, cool. But yeah, I'm just here to thank you guys for listening. I never thought, you think people don't listen all the time, so. But yeah, thank you. That's all really.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, every once in a while, government can move fast.
Yes, I know.
Every once in a while, Omar.
I can see.
So embrace that while it happens.
Yes. Agree. But yeah, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Omar.
Yeah.
Appreciate you.
Yep.
Okay, anybody else want to come up? All right, council, anybody have any comments for Lisa, Ross, Omar, Tamar? Anybody? Yeah, Councilor Gamera.
Thank you, Mayor. Thanks for everyone coming out to speak. All had different kind of items, so always love to see a handful of folks with things to say. First, Laura with our 321. Thank you. Looking forward to seeing the handouts that you had and some of the additional information. For folks that were paying attention in our pre-meeting on our grid, I believe open container debrief is next week. So I imagine we'll potentially hear from the chief or maybe someone from the police department, but I'm glad you took advantage of the public comment period today because we don't have public comment in our work session. So this is all good information to have leading up into that discussion. And for folks that might remember, I brought this up after the last OID DDA meeting, and my understanding is that it's essentially what I had represented to y'all at that time. So it shouldn't be a surprise, but definitely some food for thought before our next meeting on the topic. Omar, I think it should be pointed out we did not pay you to be here tonight or anything. I don't believe there was any incentives. Hey man, appreciate you coming to spend your time with us and passing along some kind words. Like the mayor said, it's not often or as frequent as we'd like that we can deliver those quick wins, but thankful to hear city staff moved on your testimony from the other week, and glad to hear you were pleased with the outcome, and thanks for sharing that. And then I think just in regards to Lisa, your comments about the internet service provider, I'm not familiar with Tilson. My guess is they were subcontracted by somebody larger like Visionary or something. But we occasionally and pretty frequently, especially in the past couple of years with all the broadband work being done, do get feedback from people about these sorts of things. I imagine you received a lot of that while you were on council. So I would certainly advocate a revisit. I don't know if we have that. We probably have that coming up in our budget conversations as far as franchise agreement renewals with some of these providers. And so I guess I would just ask if it's not already on the agenda and we can just kind of expand the conversation, get into some details at that time. I'd be happy with that. If it's not on the agenda at any point in the future, I guess I think it would be worth us all getting a refresher on what those franchise agreements look like and kind of the particulars. So, but I guess that would be my only ask as city staff, is whether it's already on our agenda as part of kind of this next fiscal year activities. And if not, I would advocate that we carve out some time at a future work session to discuss it. Thank you.
Others? Yeah. Councilor Pollock.
Yeah, thanks again to everybody who came. I think the only thing that I would add to Mr. Schriftman's concerns, I would encourage some additional research there on those numbers around DOJ's findings on unemployment. There's been a number of articles published since then that indicate that that was pseudo claims that were intentionally created, were not representative payments, but were intentionally created to identify fraud during the pandemic unemployment times, which there was fraud there, but it was identified within the department. So these were not actually, it's not a bombshell situation in that account. So I would encourage some additional research there. And then to Tamar, thanks for coming. And I hope maybe we could get your contact information. I think from a city standpoint, we don't deal too directly in business creation in terms of funding and that sort of thing, but there certainly are some organizations within town that I would love to put you in touch with. So if we could get some contact information so that we could direct you to some folks who may be able to help a little more directly than we can, that would be great. Good, thank you.
Yeah, go ahead. Anybody else want to go? Go ahead.
Tamar too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Tamar, there is a few different ones, and I know that like the Casper College, and I'm sure this is maybe what Pollock was gonna say to you as well, but they do quite a few startup challenges here that you'd have to, apply for those grants, but they are available. So I know Casper College, like I said, just did like a version of a Shark Tank one, and then the Visit Casper also does an impact grant, I think is what it's called. But get your information, and Councilor Pollock will reach out with those or others that there are.
We appreciate it. There's going to be a couple more comments for you tomorrow, so don't go anywhere, okay? Councilor Gambrell.
Thank you, Mayor. And yeah, I apologize. Tomorrow you were on my list. I just didn't write down the list. So as you were talking about kind of your goals and aspirations and the sort of resources that you were looking for, I would agree that I don't know if the city offers much in that regard, but I would encourage you. We have a program called Wyoming 211. It's a statewide program, and they would be able to connect you. As you were talking, there was about 10 to 12 organizations that came to my mind about folks that I'd love to connect you with. So again, happy to email those resources, but Wyoming 211 would know as much, if not more than any one of us on the days. And so if you just dial literally just 211, they'll be able to connect you to, legal resources, to people with physical disability resources, to seed money and business enterprise, small business association, small business development center. So, they could connect you to folks that could help you out in pretty much any realm. And so, I'd be happy if someone followed up with you an email, but if you just dial 211 on your cell phone and chat with them and let them know what you're looking for, I have a feeling that's probably going to be one of the best resources for you. Thank you.
Others, yeah, Councilor Sweeney.
So, Omar, thanks for coming tonight. In particular, it'll need your continued follow through, but under item 8, resolutions, A, consent, item 11 is authorizing a contract between the city of Casper and however you say that, consulting services for the Safe Routes to School Plan update, which is through the Metropolitan Planning Organization, as I understand it. So I think there's more work for you to do, and continued good work. So, and then to our former vice mayor, what I think if you could, from your perspective, what could we do as a city, you know, to folks like Councilor Bond was saying, the only reason I knew about it was because we had already dug the trench and we were underway. We had already cameraed it, had no clue that they had hit the line until we unearthed it. And it was really obvious.
My neighborhood, and I haven't had anybody digging up my landscaping yet, but when they're in my neighborhood, trust me on this, I'm going to be like home every single day watching them. You know, I don't know if I think that it would have to start probably within the city agreement with these companies, because they have to be in some type of a contractual agreement with the city, right? Before they can start digging and doing all of this stuff. So I would think that it would be in there. And I'm sure that it's probably some light language of fixing whatever you broke kind of a scenario, but I'm just wondering if the language needs to be stronger. And so, but this was just one little minor thing that I was not expecting. And yes, the clay, it just collapsed it once they perforated it, and then it just filled with mud. And so if you had an elderly, like a single person in there, their sewer backup may not look like a family of 5. And so, you know, and so I don't know how you would have them address that. It just, when I had spoke with him, he had just said that he just keeps finding him all day long, and it's constant. And I found that a little bit alarming, because I don't feel like that should be a normal thing. And especially the fact that they do have directional drillers, they have operators, they have all of these people who know what they're doing, and they know that they're hitting the sewer line versus dirt. Anybody with any kind of drilling experience could tell you that. They know. And so they're just choosing to just moving along versus addressing the problem. And so I don't know, it would be that, or that they're not letting the city know. And so the city is unaware, I'm assuming, that most of this is happening. And so then I was told that we would have to get in touch with the city to make sure that it was definitely them, and then going through this, and then the city was supposed to help the homeowner fight this whole scenario. And yeah.
So
And
I think the next step will be, if I can interject, I think the next step will be is, and we can make this suggestion maybe at the round table, I think you kind of alluded to it as well, is making a suggestion of what we should do, and maybe get your direction, Carter, at the end of the meeting when we do round the table. If that's something we could do, just as we know there's an issue, I think we can probably try to figure out something, because I think the city is aware of this, I imagine. So, great. Thank you. Appreciate it, Lisa. We'll follow up. So tomorrow, I just want to say that we'll get you some information. You got some good resources from these counselors that were very active in the community, within business, and 211 and so forth. Mine's a little bit more, a comment to you is that I think us up here and not other individuals that don't have a disability don't understand lived experiences. And so what's really important is that we hear people with lived experiences like yourself, that we understand what your challenges are and how people like us and other individuals can help you to grow and to be the most successful person that you can be. Just know here in the city of Casper, we have the Council of People with Disabilities. If you're ever interested in that, it's a council that helps to advocate for individuals within the city of Casper. It's something that was very important to us, and I was pretty proud to be a part of organizing that several years ago. So if that's something you're interested in, we could get you some contact. You can maybe come to one of those meetings just to introduce yourself and be a part of that. But I want to thank you for coming up. You did fantastic, and I appreciate you sharing your story and your lived experience. Thank you.
I appreciate the time. That's out here like a golf council members, so I'm a little awestruck. You know, like, you're directly talking
Yeah, we're
to me.
celebrity.
No, Tamar, don't be. There's nothing special about us up here. We're all a bunch of fools up here, so.
Make sure you put that in the news.
You bet. Thanks, Tamar. Yep, thank you. We'll get your information, okay? Thank you. All right, anybody else? All right, let's go ahead and move on. Thanks for everybody that came up. We really appreciate it. All right, moving along. Please read the consent agenda titles.
Establishing May 6, 2025 as the public hearing date for consideration of A1A, approving a zone change for Lot 1 Tri-View Addition subdivision in the city of Casper, Wyoming. A1B, creating local assessment district 161 Westridge improvements. A1C, council to sit as Board of Equalization for the purpose of considering an assessment rule for local assessment district number 159 Westridge improvements phase 1. A1D, repealing massage therapy portions of chapter 8.04 business affecting public health of the city of the Casper Municipal Code.
Thank you. The chair to entertain a motion to by minute action establish the public hearing dates just read. Moved by the vice mayor, seconded by Councilor Bond. Any abstentions? Please cast your vote. Please record the vote.
With all councilors voting aye, the motion passes.
I now declare the public hearing open for the consideration of the approval of a zone change for Lot 6E and a half, Block 154, Casper Addition subdivision. Mr. City Attorney, do you have any exhibits?
Thank you, Mayor. I do. Exhibit number 1, correspondence from Liz Becker to J. Carter Napier dated March 14th, 2025. Exhibit number 2, Casper Star Tribune affidavit of publication dated April 1st, 2025.
Thank you. Mr. City Manager, do you have a report?
Thank you, Your Honor. I do have a brief report. As your exhibit indicates, in the approximate area of 11th and Willow, and you can see the property in question with the square drawn around it. The suggestion is that the zoning classification for that portion alone be changed from R6 to R5. The subject property in question is currently a duplex facility that has been remodeled and so on. Historically, however, it's always been a duplex. However, it's never been zoned appropriately to serve in the capacity that it has from a legacy standpoint. If you'll notice, the property to the east of the subject property is also classified in an R5 designation. And so the notion to rezone subject property in a consistent, or in the manner that's being requested, is consistent with other areas of the same neighborhood. And again, that's the hash marked area east of the property, the subject property. Accordingly, with regard to a more appropriate zoning, the Planning Commission did find in favor of the petitioner, and we would suggest the same this evening.
Thank you. Council will now listen to public comment. Public hearing comments are limited to 5 minutes and no duplication of speakers are allowed. This time I ask those individuals who wish to speak in favor of approving a zone change for Lot 6E and a half, Block 154, Casper Addition subdivision to please approach the lectern. Good evening again. No worries. Thank you. Any questions for Lisa? Okay, thank you. Any others who wish to speak in favor? Okay, at this time, I ask those individuals who wish to speak in opposition of approving a zone change for lot E6.5, block 154, Casper Edition subdivision, to please approach the lectern. Anybody in opposition? There being no others to speak for or against the ordinance, I now declare the public hearing closed. Please read the ordinance by title only.
An ordinance approving a zone change for Lot 6E1/2, Block 154, Casper Edition subdivision in the city of Casper, Wyoming.
The chair would entertain a motion to approve on first reading the ordinance just read.
So moved.
I'll second.
Sorry, moved by Councilor Pollak, seconded by Councilor Jensen. Any discussion? Okay, any amendments? Please cast your vote. Please record the vote.
With all councilors voting aye, the motion passes.
Council will now consider consent resolutions. Please read the consent resolutions by title only.
Item 8A1, authorizing the contract between the City of Casper and HDR Engineering, Inc. for the Robertson Road Corridor Study. 8A2, authorizing a contract for professional services with AAA Landscaping LLC for weed and grass, mowing and junk, litter, and trash abatement services. 8A3, authorizing a contract for professional services with Brian's Go-To Service for weed and grass, mowing and junk, litter, and trash abatement services. 8A4, authorizing a contract for professional services with Leon's Landscaping LLC for weed and grass, mowing and junk, litter, and trash abatement services. 8A5, authorizing a contract for professional services with the Local Lawn Care LLC for weed and grass, mowing and junk, litter, and trash abatement services. 8A6, authorizing a contract for professional services with JNC Services LLC for weed and grass, mowing and junk, litter, and trash abatement services. 8A7, rescinding Resolution 25-50 to create a local assessment district number 161, Westridge Improvements Phase 2 in said city, to authorize the construction of local improvements therein and to assess the cost or portion thereof on the property benefited thereby. 8A8, declaring the intent of the City of Casper, Wyoming to create a local assessment district number 161, Westwood Improvement Phase 2 in said city, to authorize the construction of local improvements therein and to assess the cost or portion thereof on the property benefited thereby. 8A9, authorizing an agreement with Trado Construction LLC for the Goodstein Parking Lot Phase 2, project number 22-006. 8A10, authorizing amendment number 2 to the contract for professional services between the City of Casper and Republic Parking LLC for the management of the municipal parking garage. 8A11, authorizing a contract between the City of Casper and Stantec Consulting Services, Inc. for the Safe Routes to School Plan Update. 8A12, rescinding and replacing Resolution 23-286 and setting forth rates for wholesale water service, retail water service, and sewer service for the City of Casper, Wyoming. And 8A13, rescinding Resolution number 19-79 and establishing fees for the use of parks and courts.
Thank you. The chair would entertain a motion to adopt the consent agenda items just read. Moved by the Vice Mayor, seconded by Councilor Sweeney. Mr. City Manager, do you have any comments on any of these items? Great. Any abstentions or nay votes on any of these? Okay, please cast your vote. Please record the vote.
With all councilors voting aye, the motion passes.
Thank you. Please read the consent minute action titles.
Item 9A1, authorizing the appointment of Carol King to the Opioid Oversight Committee. 9A2, authorizing the purchase of one new half-ton crew cab 4x4 pickup truck with 6-foot bed to be used by the Building and Structures Division of the Parks, Recreation, and Public Facilities Department. 9A3, authorizing the purchase of 4 new portable vehicle equipment lifts from Big Red Equipment for use by the Fleet Division of the Support Services Department. 9A4, rejecting bids received for the 2025 IT network equipment procurement, project number 25-015. And 9A5, approving the appointment of Sean Moore to the Casper Historic Preservation Commission.
Thank you. The chair would entertain a motion to approve the consent action agenda items just read. Moved by Councilor Bond, seconded by Councilor Pollock. Any abstentions or nay votes? Please cast your vote. Please record the vote.
With all councilors voting aye, the motion passes.
This is the part of the meeting where we ask councilors to bring forward any relevant concerns or items of interest. Why don't we started last time with you, I think, right? All right, well, we'll start with you. That sounds good. We'll start with Councilor Haskins. Very quick. Councilor Sweeney.
Thank you, Mayor. Attended Downtown Casper Business Association meeting last week, and at that time, number of promotions coming up, but in particular was about Art Walk and the open container throughout the Yellowstone District and downtown area. So look forward to those discussions. Last week also had the Amoco Reuse Joint Powers Board meeting. And we have a new manager, Ty Cosgrove, for that LG brought in. And we got a chance to interview them a month or two ago. And so he's currently in place, getting ready to move his family here from, I believe it's New York. But I think Matt did a great job, but and then there's other developments. They're looking forward to a good season, and hopefully people will realize that the refinery restaurant is all remodeled, great place, great spot, good food. And so then also today, Councilor Larson and myself attended the regional water meeting, and I'll let him more elaborate on stuff. He had lots of good questions that helped clarify stuff for me, so appreciated that. And I think that's it.
Thank you. Councilor Gamroth.
Thank you, Mayor. Thanks, Councilor Sweeney, for bringing up your Amoco Reuse Joint Powers Board meeting. I'm surprised I didn't bring it up last week, but Bob King, I don't believe he's a current commissioner for Wyoming Oil and Gas Conservation Commission, but he was very heavily involved in the creation of that Joint Powers Board, and he presented my Rotary Club, I believe it was last week, had a very interesting and enlightening presentation about the history of the refinery and the remediation efforts and the creation of Three Crowns. So was cool to hear from Bob. I believe, not 100% certain, but 95% certain, he said that they estimated 30 million gallons of oil had been spilled in that area, and through recovery efforts had recovered about half that, 15 million. So just some really crazy, interesting factoids, and really interesting presentation. I'd encourage you to catch it if you're ever able to. I missed my DDA board meeting last week. Unfortunately, it occurred at the same time as the Chamber of Commerce post-legislative session, but I was thankful for the opportunity to attend that. Always a great, as Tamar mentioned, great to have accessibility to the elected representatives above us, and had an interesting panel. I was disappointed to see some city-specific numbers misrepresented, but we'll work closely with some of our legislators and make sure we're all operating with the same data, same information, and making sure we're collaborating and coordinating as much as possible. This is also Animal Care and Control Appreciation Week, so big thank you to our animal protection officer and our kennel technician team at Metro Animal Shelter. Those guys do really awesome work, again, until we're able to replace the shelter in a not great environment. So I appreciate them and the quality of work they do under the circumstances, and I'm really looking forward to getting those guys in a new space so they can really thrive at what they're doing. It's also National Public Safety Telecommunications Week. As Chief Cheney put it to us in a memo, they are the backbone of our emergency response teams and act as that intermediary between people in crisis and our first responders. So also a very hard but critical job. Having had the opportunity to listen to some of those first responder calls, I do not envy those guys. They handle very hard phone conversations on a daily basis. So much props to that team at the dispatch center, but also at Metro Animal Shelter. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Jensen.
Trying to get my bearings here. So a couple things happened. Let's see. I attended the CNFR meeting last night, and just getting close to go time. So everybody's getting excited, and final schedules are starting to be put together and come out. So the Sports Ranch is putting their schedule together, and that should be coming out soon. But it's they're working on a couple social dances up there. Remember, they're having the Mercantile up there, so they're having a few shops. They have 50 booths that are gone, which actually more, I guess 126 spaces have been taken, but 50 of them are for booths because they want more than one space. So those are taken, but they're working on kids camp, some cowboy techniques like roping and stuff for kids that should be really fun. They're also doing some swing dancing and I didn't get the specifics on this, on exactly how it's going to work, but there's going to be a mechanical bull challenge for businesses. And so they did pitch that if you have anybody who wants to do that, that you're not fond of in your business. No, I'm just kidding. But I think that's more of a way to generate some kind of funds that somehow, not quite sure yet where that's going. Otherwise, visit Casper's getting ready for their Western Fest, which happens about that same week, and it's going to be at David Street Station. So there's just an abundance, like usual, of CNFR events and things happening everywhere during that week. So buckle up, bring your friends and family down, because it's going to be great. The other thing that I just wanted to highlight here was, so I missed the post-legislature luncheon for the chamber, but for good reason. I was also hosting a luncheon that was booked, and that was for the Wish of a Lifetime, and it's Vietnam veterans that are headed to Washington, D.C. And so they had to get nominated for that process, but what it is obviously they got a wish granted, and they're headed to Washington, D.C. to look at all the memorials, and more specifically the Vietnam vet wall that's over there. So they're going to be leaving. All the vets that are going on the trip that live in the northern part are meeting here in Casper on May 5th to depart to Cheyenne to pick up more vets, and then off to Denver to catch their flight. So what my ask is that when it gets closer, you'll probably see some more press about it, but participation, as far as we're going to try to line up the streets with signage and people, hopefully crowds wishing them well on their way to the interstate. So from North Poplar up by the National Historic Trail Center is where they'll be leaving from, loading the bus and leaving, and they're going to head down North Poplar to I-25 south, right across from the Ramcota, pretty much. So that's going to be the ask later on. So mark your calendars. It's a good thing.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Councilor Bond.
Thank you, Mayor. I attended the post-legislative lunch last week as well. It was good to hear directly from our legislators and to hear what from their perspective. I found it interesting just the different perspectives that our legislators bring to their work and the variety. I think it brings I'm sure they have very rich discussions in Cheyenne. But and then the only other thing I did attend the Youth Mental Health Collective. They had a 3-hour work session a couple of weeks ago that I was able to participate in that kind of to set the vision and kind of lay out the plan of work, and was very encouraged by that. The first, I think I mentioned a while back, their first task, one of the first areas to develop in our community for youth was around this idea of third spaces. So it was helpful for us to kind of it was a video of a TED Talk actually, but a young woman was describing the role and kind of helping define and clarify what the idea of third spaces, which was very helpful to me. And so in a nutshell, my understanding of third spaces is a place where it's not home, it's not work, that's that third space where folks go to connect, to feel a sense of belonging and so forth. And that in my assessment, I mean, it feels like that's something I think many of us have to work hard to have and enjoy. And that, sometimes folks, their third space is unfortunately social media, but and not to be critical of that. I mean, it has its place for connection, but that person-to-person connection in person, really is valuable. And I think, as I was kind of questioning the rationale for addressing that for this work group, but I really am beginning to see the importance and the role of third spaces for youth in particular, to helping improve their sense of belonging and connection to their community and to each other. And so I think that will be valuable, but laid out a very ambitious plan of work with some commitments. We have opportunities, I think, to work with the Peace in Our Cities group to collaborate perhaps with the social justice, not social justice, safety and justice, thank you, to do some collaboration there. So I think that will be helpful. And it was very pleasantly, I was very happy to see the involvement there were some young folks from the Youth Empowerment Council, thank you. I knew the acronym, YEC, that were there. And so that will be particularly helpful, is to have their eyes and ears on what we're doing and to help guide us in our decision making. So that was helpful. And then tonight, that same group met to kind of break into some work groups and start doing some research, working on how this is a communication plan, and so forth. So very, very encouraging work. Correct. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Larson.
Thank you, Mayor. So as Councilor Sweeney said, we were at the Regional Water Joint Powers Board meeting today, and I'll just elaborate on, I'll just briefly go over kind of what we went over without getting into too many of the details. I guess I first have to, as the councilor mentioned, I first have to say thank you again to Tom and Paul Bertolio for entertaining all my questions, because I'm sure I was the one who was largely holding up the meeting from getting out. So they gave me a really good rundown of exactly how their budgets fit in with the city budget and how all that works. So thanks again. That was largely what we went over, was the regional water's preliminary budget. Both their separate budgets, both the operational budget as well as the agency budget. They did a good job of explaining me the difference between those two. It was noted there will be a increase in both of those budgets for this year, which I'm sure we'll see in the upcoming budget session in May. So without getting into too many details on that, that was large majority of the meeting, voted on our choice gas selection. And then we briefly discussed transferring some vehicles that were purchased that Regional Water purchased for use over there back when they were metering, doing all their metering work and everything, and how to get those transferred over to the city for legal and liability issues. And that'll take another few meetings to work that out on how that's going to go, apparently. So, and that's all I have. So thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Pollack.
Thank you very much. I have a few meetings coming up the remainder of the week, so I'll have something to report back to you next week.
Thank you. Vice Mayor.
I am speechless.
Oh, wow. That sounds good. I just have a couple of things coming up. The Vice Mayor and myself have the breakfast with the Council of Governments on Thursday. So looking forward to that. And then we also meet in addition on Friday with we have a county city monthly meeting that we try to meet with the leadership from the county, which we look forward to continue communications. I have a swearing in for 3 police officers. It's lateral officers that are being sworn. So I'm looking forward to doing that. Also, I just got one maybe clarification from you, Mr. City Manager, about our direction for dealing with talking about Lisa's concerns. Is it on our radar? Is there something that we need to talk about? Or how do you foresee us moving forward with that?
Well, Your Honor, I think there's a number of directions that we could go. Certainly, there's been some suggestion about reviewing the license agreements that most of our telecom companies have in their hand that allows them, of course, the access to right-of-ways and those kinds of things. We have a very vigorous process by which we follow up a number of these kinds of complaints. But I couldn't agree with the speaker more in terms of evaluating ways in which the process that the citizen has to go through be more seamless and less intrusive than what they currently have to deal with. And so I'm happy to have that conversation internally and then bring some recommendations forward. If council would like to have a work session on the matter, we could certainly be prepared for something of that nature.
Is council okay with the work session with some recommendations coming from staff on that? Perfect. So we'll work on that, Lisa. We'll let you know, keep you up to date, and the city or the community dealing with it too. That's right. You betcha. Thank you. The only other thing that I was going to say is that I want to recognize, I was going to say this about the swearing in. I've been to 3 swearing ins, and I want to say the support from the police officers and the people that come to that, the support staff that are there is incredible. I think it's a testament, number one, to the leadership of our interim chief, Shane Cheney, who does a fantastic job. And it's just really great to see that. That room is very full with family members. It's full with police officers, support staff, community service officers, you name it. And it's just a really great thing to be a part of. And I will, someday when I leave this chair, that will always be something that I will cherish the most, swearing in both firefighters and the police officers. So, all righty. The next meeting of the City Council will be a work session to be held on Tuesday, April 22nd at 4:30 p.m. and a regular council meeting to be held at 6 p.m. on Tuesday, May 6th. A notice of an executive session to take place at this date and during this meeting was given. We have personnel, land, and attorney-client privilege matters to discuss. So the chair would entertain a motion to adjourn into an executive session at the conclusion of that executive session to reconvene this regular meeting solely for the purposes of adjournment of this regular meeting.
So moved.
Moved by Councilor Pollack, seconded by Councilor Haskins. There are a majority of councilors present and a motion to adjourn into an executive session has been moved and seconded. This motion requires a 2/3 majority of the council present. Please cast your vote. Please record the vote.
With all councilors voting aye, the motion passes.
A greater than 2/3 majority of the council present voted in favor of the